Okay, so I can't believe I'm gonna go this route, but I'm actually gonna make like an opinion piece, and it's gonna be about two things. I might think of a third thing later, but we'll see what happens. You know what? I have a third thing in mind, so just you wait. Okay, so first is the Twitter war between JD from New York versus the whole AEW women's division. So I actually like JD from New York, even if fans from like both sides seem to have turned on him. Like everyone from like Squared Circle as well as like Squared Circle Jerk hate the shit out of this guy. He manages to trigger everyone, whether it's WWE, AEW, and I like that he always sticks to his opinions. He likes what he likes, he calls it as it is. He gets wishy-washy sometimes, but we all do. And dude is very entertaining, especially when he's tearing into something or like just ranting. That's why I'm still subscribed. I think he was the superior half of like the JD and Joe Cronin combo back in the day. Those two had great chemistry, but just had a bit of falling out. He worked well with the other creators before that whole thing fell apart, but the dude has some negatives. He does believe what he believes like very strongly, and sometimes it's hard to like be open-minded, and that's like JD. He fails to see some of the good in things, even some of like the objectively dumb things, but have that like small positive. And I don't like that he doesn't give a shit about wrestling anywhere else aside from the two top promotions. He also isn't very diplomatic with his words. As I said, dude can trigger fucking everyone. And he's triggered wrestlers in the past. And this time it's Jade Cargill. And it's for a simple tweet. It's actually for a simple reply to a tweet by the AEW main page announcing that it's Jade Cargill versus Marina Shafir for the TBS Championship on Dynamite. And yes, you've heard that right. It's Dynamite, not a Rampage. And his tweet is pretty inoffensive, like, in my opinion. This is nothing. I believe Marina and Jade have been told worse, like actual offensive garbage. But this is nothing. And I don't even think JD goes beyond saying, this person sucks, this person is terrible at wrestling. He crosses it too far sometimes with the WWE women, but not here. Some people actually view him as like biased to AEW. But the dude calls it as it is. He likes what he likes, and he just made this like funny reply. And you're giving him the fucking power that he wants. JD wins here. If you wanted to like blow up on the guy, you should have picked a better tweet because this was like harmless. The rest of the women's locker room then chimes in, the biggest being Jade's, but it's pretty overblown for the tweet itself. Instead, like a lot of the women's locker room like attacked JD for previous comments, and I mean, free speech is a thing, and the women's division hasn't really been the best, but it is getting better. But not enough that you can defend like the booking of this thing. Like a lot of people don't even want this to happen. The general consensus has been extremely fucking negative. And is JD wrong though? Is Marina ready for Dynamite? If this was on Rampage and it was like 5 minutes, I would be okay with this, but it's on Dynamite. It's on your main show and you're probably gonna lose viewers because of this. So poor move by Tony Khan to even let this happen. To even book this fucking match on your main show when they're established on Rampage. The feud has been going on Rampage, and that's where it should mainly progress. Especially for matches like this, where it's looking like it's gonna be bad. And plus, all of you just like exposed yourselves of being watchers or listeners of JD. He wins in the end. He has a large fan base, and that could be the difference between like getting 1 million viewers. Like he says, his words seem to have more weight than it should. I like that the locker room is at least being united in something. They're not like the British women's division, just like described by Jazzy Gabbert. But pick your spots correctly. Like, pick a better tweet that puts JD in a worse position instead of this. And the person being talked about even has a simple reply, and that was pretty much enough. That was like unquestionably the best reply out of everyone else. Because that's just gonna make people say that, oh, Marina's gonna get you, and like that would be the end of it. So yeah, that's it for the JD from NY versus AEW Women's Division story. Terrible situation for AEW, as not so much for JD. He wins in this. He gets content, as well as the victory from most fans who are already against you. Read the room. So yeah, hopefully that gets sorted out. And I mean, like, the bright side here is that this might motivate Marina and Jade to have like a banger. Like, just to shut JD up. Like, this might be like the best motivator they have, but I doubt it. I'm with JD on this one. Okay, so next thing is about NXT Japan, and actually NXT the whole world. And back then, it was a bad idea, especially with NXT UK, because now they're being relegated to being vassals. They're a feeder system to a bigger machine. And it's like McDonald's. People might say, oh, McDonald's is the most famous restaurant in the world, yada yada yada, der der der. But that's still low quality food. Extremely low quality, high calorie fucking food. That's gonna kill you. And the WWE is better than that. So maybe a better comparison would be Americanized, like foreign food, just like Taco Bell or Panda Express. You're basically eating like a diluted version of something fucking like unique tasting. Like, if you actually eat the Japanese food in Japan, it's ways away above anything we have here. That's Japanese. And in America, because I tried that shit too, and it was meh. Those big American like Japanese buffets, or just like any big American buffet, is always terrible garbage. Or like, you know what, any buffet anywhere. So yeah, it's gonna be a diluted product. You won't get like authentic feeling Japanese wrestling or Mexican wrestling. It's gonna kill off the whole scene, but compared to the UK and Europe, there are more established companies in Japan and Mexico. Like AAA are doing massive numbers in Mexico. New Japan are doing as best they can in Japan. But the Japanese, I don't think, are as crazy about wrestling as they used to be. In Mexico, though, it's still hot, but it's certainly going to be difficult for like an NXT Japan or an NXT Mexico to like take over other promotions. But it's going to lock people down. It's going to have everything go through the WWE, and that's just fucking terrible. And Wrestle Universe is a better streaming service than anything else. Like, for such a small company compared to the rest, they have high quality streams. And it has never like bugged out on me ever. The WWE Universe has sometimes fight couple of times, but like Bleacher Report, I've heard, is the fucking worst. And plus, New Japan World has this terrible billing system that they bill you every end of the month. So yeah, Cyber Fight has big potential, especially since they have 4 promotions. It's gonna take a lot to like pry Noah, DDT, Tokyo Joshi Pro, and Gunbutter Pro away from them. And plus, the Japanese are just like isolationist by nature. Very traditional. They like what's in their country. This outside thing is okay, but they will always want their culture more, which is more than I can say for most countries, like the fucking Philippines. The media there also pushes their own stuff more. And plus, there is tradition. There is something of their own that like you'll never take away, even if you're an invader, just as history proves. We're suddenly talking about fucking history, but the British hate their own guts, and they were former conquerors themselves. So I guess that's why it's weaker there. And plus, the wrestling there wasn't really as established as it was in Japan or in Mexico. Like, just the fucking culture there. Luchadors, masked wrestling. The WWE doesn't really respect that shit. In Europe and I believe in the UK, companies will easily fall. NXT Europe, NXT UK will be like their biggest brand, but everywhere else, not so much. And we've already seen what NXT UK resulted in. It resulted in the destruction, the impeded growth of all the other indies. And the fucking WWE fans like defended the shit out of this, and they've been proven wrong. Progress isn't as big as it used to be. It doesn't have the talent that it used to, since they're all being fucking used as lower carders in other companies, wink wink. And they had such a great aesthetic. I loved fucking Progress. Just like the black ring. It was a fucking great visual, and I would create that shit for the 2K game back in the day. But it's gone. And I hope Mexico and Japan see that that's the case, and they'll like defend from this even harder. And yeah, fucking WWE fans, stop being close-minded shits. Stop ruining stuff for everyone else. Unless it's like in your country. Majority of fans don't watch NXT UK, so what's the fucking difference? You just killed various promotions in the UK. Stop being drones and fucking explore the wider world of wrestling. So yeah, how good would you really think things will be if the largest Japanese promotion, for example, it becomes NXT Japan or NXT Mexico, is just like a vassal, will be just like under the WWE, like controlled by them. They'll be like a feeder system, and that's all they'll be. Like, how depressing would that fucking be? And it's not even your countries. That would be hell on fucking earth, and it shouldn't fucking happen. So yeah, let's get to some media recommendations first. So first, since it's Halloween, I recommend the TV series Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix. And I've yet to watch the last 2 episodes, but with what I got from episodes 1 to 6, it's very, very worth it. It's worth a subscription to Netflix as well as the time you use to watch it. It's an anthology show, so different story per episode. There is varying levels of quality. I think people are overrating episode 4 too much. Episode 1 isn't the best place to start because there is a portrayal of the American Republican white dude that's just so forced and hammered on that it's almost comical and exaggerated, and you don't really care about the main character, so that takes away from the tension. And episode 6 is like all over the place. But yeah, episodes 2, 3, and 5 are like bangers. Episode 5 might be the best Lovecraft adaptation like that's been made so far, aside from Colors Out of Space. Episode 2 reminds me of like Plague Tale, since I'm playing that shit right now. And episode 3, methodical, scientific, just like cosmic horror at its finest. And I know I like talked badly about episodes 1 and 4, but they're not really bad. The creature design as well as like the message in episode 1 is very good, but it's just that portrayal of like the American Republican that's taken too far. Episode 4, if like put in another show like Inside Number 9 or Black Mirror, would stand well on its own, but it's not scary. In no way is it horror and doesn't fit the rest of the series. It's the most like avant-garde out of all of them so far. And yeah, episode 6 is just all over the place. It's like the only legit bad episode. So yeah, very good series. It's on Netflix, so you probably have it. So why not go watch it, like binge all of it in Halloween? Which isn't a good idea because I tried like binging Junji Ito stories from Horror Show Mickey, and that didn't end well. So yeah, that's it for this video. Good luck, JD from New York. Fuck NXT Japan, and go watch Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities.